friends, welcome back to my channel where I'm sharing my TTC journey after being diagnosed with PCOS. And today is Wednesday the 21st of April and the day that I am going to see a private gynecologist. Now if you missed my last video, I will link it down below where I gave you sort of like a run through of where I'm up to now in terms of going for scans, bloods and making the decision to pay to go and see a private gynecologist. And that is because due to the pandemic, the waiting lists for the NHS are crazy. Like, it's been on the news, there's like 3 million people waiting for referrals, and in my current situation, that just isn't time that I have to wait. And the NHS have told me that they can't see me until August, which is 4 months away, and I just don't have 4 months left in me anymore. So I made the decision to do my own research, to find a private gynecologist that I am happy to see with really good expertise, and I finally have my appointment today. So I said I would pick up my camera and sort of document the experience in case there's anybody else out there like me who's maybe considering going to see a private gynecologist but they're not really sure how it works or what to expect. And obviously it's very expensive. So if you're sort of like umming and ahhing, hopefully this will help you to make a decision. So because it is my first consultation, they have suggested that I have a face-to-face one, which I was more than happy with. And then possibly any follow-up consultations might be like over the phone or virtual if there's not really a reason for me to come into the office. So let's just start with cost, because that's probably what most people are wondering. The cost of this consultation is £200 and I believe it's a 15-minute consultation. So I'm going to have to speak as fast in that consultation as I do in this video to make sure that he's got a good overview of my history, what's been going on with me so far, my scans, etc. And then he can make the decision of what we do going forward. What was really good is they allowed me to send across any kind of like blood results, scan results, etc. that I've already done, and they've put that in my file for me so that the consultant can look at that before meeting with me. So hopefully that will save some time. So yes, £200 for the first consultation, and then I believe any follow-up consultations after that are around £140 to £150, and that is all I know in terms of cost so far. So I feel like I'm going in knowing sort of what to expect. I am a little bit nervous just because I can imagine it's really difficult for somebody to just like speak to you, read your notes and then make a decision. I've just got no idea what to expect going forward, whether it'll be another scan or surgery, etc. But I'll be able to update you on that later on today. So I will check in with you before I go into the hospital to let you know how I feel, and then I'll give you a full rundown of my consultation, what happened during it, and yeah, as I say, hopefully this will be really helpful to somebody who is possibly looking at going private. So that is it from me for now. I will speak to you guys in a little bit. Hi guys, it is the next day. I went off of my appointment, which I thought was only going to be like roughly 15 minutes, and it ended up being 40 minutes, which was amazing. So we've got a lot to talk about. So it just meant by the time I got home, had dinner, etc., I was kind of talked out. So I thought I'll go to bed, rest, and pick up my camera this morning and let you know what happened when I went to go see the private gynecologist. I do apologise, I might have to move in a minute because the neighbour over there is having work done and the builders are pretty noisy. So my appointment was at 4:30. I drove there, it wasn't far, and as soon as I walked into the hospital, you could just tell that it was a private hospital. The staff were lovely, it was clean, it's quite quiet and quite small. It just felt like a premium hospital, if that makes sense. Tip number one, I booked the last appointment of the day. So the last appointment was at 4:30, and I did that so that the gynecologist didn't have to like rush me out for the next patient. So if you are thinking of booking an appointment, tip number one, book the last one of the day and then you can take your time. So I don't know if the appointment would have been 40 minutes if there was somebody after me, but it was 40 minutes and he was absolutely amazing. He spent so much time like explaining things to me in detail, drawing me diagrams, like really trying to get me to understand what's been going on in my body in terms of my polycystic ovaries. So he did 100% confirm that I have polycystic ovaries. He said that is one thing that I can say to you today that you definitely have at the moment is polycystic ovaries. However, whether I had polycystic ovary syndrome was a little bit unclear. My testosterone is high, but at the moment I don't have any of the other normal symptoms which I've mentioned in previous videos. So I have polycystic ovaries, but I might not necessarily have polycystic ovary syndrome. I hope that makes sense. And we talked about everything in detail. I mean, like, everything. No stone was unturned. He did ask some really personal questions that I had to answer to try and get to the bottom of what the pain could be that is going on. I also had to have an internal examination, which was an experience. He didn't use a speculum or anything, he did just use his hands. And basically he felt around inside and I had to rate my pain. And as he got towards the top of my cervix, that is where we hit a 10, and I was in so much pain, so uncomfortable, honestly, like I had to catch my breath. But it was a good indication for him sort of where my pain was. He felt around my pelvis, like pressed where my ovary is, just to get an idea of where that pain is. He was then able to sit down with me and tell me what he could feel inside, and that's where I'm going to start, because some of the stuff that he mentioned, I honestly, I never thought that this was even going to be part of the conversation. One of the first questions he asked me after the internal examination was, "Are you a dancer?" And I was like, "No." "Are you a gymnast?" "No." "Have you ever done any kickboxing? Horse riding?" I was like, "No, I probably was like the most unsporty child ever. I've never done anything like that." And he said, "Well, what do you do now then?" So I explained, you know, I go to the gym, I do a lot of resistance training, I've done like HIIT training, runs, etc. in the past. And he went, "Ah." And I just didn't quite understand where he was going with this at all. And he said that my pelvic floor, so the muscles inside, are tight. He said they are incredibly tight, as if you are a professional athlete, which he says he sees it a lot with professionals who do a lot of exercise. Their pelvic floor can be incredibly tight to their detriment. And initially you'd think, oh, thank you, like I've got the pelvic floor of an athlete, but actually it's doing me no favors whatsoever. So I'm now being referred to a pelvic floor physio, which I definitely did not think was going to come out of my appointment. But basically I need to go and see a physiotherapist to help relax my pelvic muscles. How crazy is that? Like, I never ever thought that that would have ever been an issue, but apparently it is. So that is referral number one. I've got to go and see a pelvic floor physio, and he also advised that I stopped exercising. Guess where I'm on my way to? Exercise is a massive part of my life, a big passion. I love it. I do it because I genuinely enjoy it. I don't do it as a means to burn calories or to lose weight, etc., which I definitely have done in the past, but at the moment I feel like I'm in a really good position with exercise, and I'm now being told that it's not good for me. I did 100% take his advice, but I am going to continue exercising until we get onto the next part. So as you guys know, I've had scans previously. We've been able to see some fluid, which he completely dismissed. He said it was not an infection. He completely disagreed with that diagnosis. So thank you to the doctor for giving me those awful antibiotics for 2 weeks for no reason, but I understand that's probably something they had to rule out. But he says he sees it time and time again where there's fluid on a scan and they just basically say it's an infection and give you antibiotics and send you on your way. And he basically dismissed it as bad practice, which it was so refreshing to like see someone be honest with me for once, you know. But from my scans we haven't been able to see whether I have anything else going on in terms of endometriosis, and in our discussion I definitely brought up some symptoms of endometriosis, so we've got to basically rule that out. I've previously mentioned that I might have to go for a laparoscopy, but I didn't realise there's a step before that, because obviously a laparoscopy is incredibly invasive. My friends, I am being sent for an MRI, which if you watch like Grey's Anatomy, you know, those kind of programs, it's the big dome machine where you go in it and it makes lots of noise. So I am going to have a pelvic MRI to see whether they can see anything else going on in there in more detail. In this, we're going to be looking for endometriosis and another thing that I'd never heard of called adenomyosis, I think it's called. I will write it on the screen, which is something that I honestly had never even considered. I didn't even know what it was. I had to Google it when I got home. But the MRI will potentially show up those things if I have severe endometriosis or large pockets of endometriosis or adenomyosis, which I hope I'm saying right. So that's the plan with the MRI. So that was something really positive. I felt like it was something different. I wasn't just being sent off for another ultrasound. Hopefully the MRI will be able to give me more answers. In terms of answers going forward, if the MRI comes back and I have endometriosis and they can see it, then surgery is probably going to be the next step for me to try and get rid of it. I say get rid of it. It will depend on how severe it is, where it is, etc. So that's what we're going to do. If it comes back and I've got endometriosis, we're going to discuss surgery, and that's probably going to be more likely for me. If it's adenomyosis, I'm honestly not quite sure whether surgery is an option. So that is something that I would definitely have to discuss in my follow-up consultation if adenomyosis came up. There is also a possibility that absolutely nothing will show on the MRI. Sometimes adenomyosis doesn't pop up, and he said it depends on where it is, how severe it is, whether there's pockets in different places, etc. So there is also a possibility that it might show absolutely nothing. If that's the case, I have one of two options. Option one, depending on the pain that I am in, I can choose to have surgery either way, and they will go in, do the laparoscopy. They will then be able to definitely see whether I have one of those two conditions and hopefully be able to treat it during that surgery. However, option two, which sounds definitely more appealing, is to be referred straight to the fertility clinic at the NHS hospital and get me started on fertility treatment. I think he was hoping that if we maybe get things working, get me ovulating again, that maybe some of this pain will start to relieve a little bit, and then we can really start to look at how my symptoms develop. A lot of the times he was asking me about my periods, are they heavy, are they painful, etc. And they were really difficult questions for me to answer because I've not actually had that many periods since coming off the pill in May. So we don't really have a clear picture of what my periods look like. The ones that I have had have been completely normal. They've lasted 5 days. I would say they're more on the lighter side than anything, and they wouldn't be a concern to a gynecologist. So if the MRI comes back normal and they can't see anything, I could just opt to go straight to the fertility clinic and start some fertility treatment, which in my head was just like, yes, let's do that. That sounds amazing, because obviously my priority was having a baby, and if that's still an option for me, I would very much like to take it. So it was a really positive appointment. Obviously I could go for this MRI and it could be bad news, and I am preparing myself for that. I know I seem really happy and positive now, but it's just because I feel relief of actually getting somewhere and getting some answers and feeling like the ball is moving forward. Going for this appointment was the best decision I ever made, and I wish I'd done it sooner. It cost £200, but every penny was worth it. The 40 minutes I spent with him going through absolutely everything in amazing detail with me was so worth the money. And I feel now that there's almost light at the end of the tunnel, whether that be fertility treatment, whether that be surgery. I feel prepared for what is to come, and just feel like I'm actually going to get this sorted for once, rather than going round and round in circles and not getting anywhere. So because I'm going private with the MRI, they said it'll take roughly 2 weeks, which interestingly to them was a long time. So I thought 2 weeks sounds great, because I've been having to wait for scans for like 5 weeks. So I will be contacted to make an appointment for my MRI, either through phone, letter, whatever, and then I will just ring up to book my appointment. The one thing they weren't able to tell me yet is the cost. Something to do with like the paperwork has to go to like a doctor or something for approval, and then I will get a call when I'm able to book, and then when I call up to book they can then tell me how much it's going to cost. So I have no idea. I've been trying to do a bit of research, and I've seen between like 300 and 700. I think it depends how many parts you're having done. There's that building work. Yeah, I think I'm looking roughly somewhere between 300 and 700. So as soon as I know how much that costs, of course I will let you guys know. But yeah, I'm so eager to go and have that done, and yeah, get some answers and see what the rest of the year is going to look like for us in terms of trying to conceive. I'm so glad that I waited to do this part of the video this morning. I've had a chance to, you know, sleep on it, process it, and woke up feeling like, oh, don't get emotional. I woke up this morning feeling like a weight has been lifted off my shoulders. As I said, it could be terrible news from this MRI scan. I have no idea, but even just being able to get the answers this morning, I just woke up feeling like I can breathe again, and like I can go about my day without worrying that I'm not getting anywhere. So if, like me, you are stuck in the healthcare system, you're not getting anywhere, your doctor is not giving you helpful advice, you've not been referred, or you're waiting a long time for a referral to the NHS or your healthcare provider, honestly, £200 is a small amount of money to pay in order to get answers about your health. And that's the only way I can put it. You wouldn't hesitate to spend £200 on going and staying in a hotel or going away for the weekend. I got more out of that 40-minute appointment than I have done in 5 months. So I really encourage you, just go for a consultation, see what a professional's got to say. You'll learn so much, and then you can actually start to take positive steps forward to conceiving if that is what your aim is, like me. I will continue to document my journey, so when I go for my MRI scan, my results and what the steps are next, and I'm really hoping that this is going to help all those women out there that are in the same position as me and feel like there's no hope for them. So I'm gonna love you and leave you so this video isn't so long. I'm sorry if there's been any background noise. Those noisy builders. Thank you so much for watching. Any questions, just please leave them in the comments and I will definitely get back to you, or go and follow me over on Instagram as well. I hope you all have a fantastic day, and I will see you in my next video.